Hello, this is Appletrees, and we are broadcasting live from California. And Vladimir, where are you?
Vilnius.
Yeah. So we are.
So you heard that there is a world besides of California? Yeah. I thought that everything is in California.
Well, it's almost everything is here. Yes. But let's not go into this. It's probably might upset a lot of our majority of our audience. Let's put it that way. We have a special episode, and I think all of the episodes we have so far were very special because it's just the third episode for the season, and we are really behind on schedule, I think. So we plan to do one episode on European rules, by the way, and maybe we will do that sometime. But as of now, we need to cover everything what is happening on WWDC. So WWDC is not yet over. I think today is the last day with the sessions posted. So it's like the last sessions were released 2 hours ago, and that's maybe concludes the conference for most of the developers. I mean, if you have labs or like one-on-one appointments, that's cool, and that might be. I think they are still available on Friday too. But as regards to the sessions, that's the end of it. And what we planned for this episode is actually to go through the announcements and our feelings about those. And small disclaimer: we work with Vladimir on a couple of interesting projects, which actually include not just Vision Pro, which is like this funny stuff we can discuss, but also it also now includes Swift on server, which is kind of cool. Well, unexpectedly cool, but I mean we maybe we were not planning that, but that's where we are right now. Let's start with the WWDC announcements, and we'll go one by one. And by the way, if you're watching us live, post your questions. We will discuss them together. So I propose to go with a couple of announcements in a way they were presented on Keynote. Let's put this.
But first, we're gonna talk about Android 18, right?
Yes, we will talk about a lot of interesting stuff. So, by the way, like before we go into that, my personal feeling about all of these releases, it looks like that Snow Leopard kind of release. So everything which was showing for the first hour of the keynote were mostly minor things. I mean, like, you can argue, but I was feeling it was just like small things which are interesting, but not that important. I mean, we could live without being able to move our icons across the home screen on the iPhone or tint them into color. And by the way, I was reading a couple of reports of people trying to tint their icons, and that goes terribly bad. I mean, like currently most icons look okay, but some of them just look terrible when you try to do that. But yeah, you can now customize your screen. You can put your icons into, like, they will not be just flowing from the top to bottom. You can put them to any place. That's probably the big thing there. And we get another emoji to the collection. So we had Memoji, we had Animoji, now we have Genmoji, Genmoji. I don't know, like it's a
generative AI generative.
Yeah. Let's leave it till the end of the episode. I mean, that's a thing which we will discuss a little bit later. And as of now, let's just go. And again, if you're joining us now, like, post your feelings, questions, whatever you think about WWDC announcements, and we will talk about those. And a couple of things which, like, again, may be interesting, but Apple Watch did not get much of the update. So like live activities are now streamed in a way to Apple Watch. So if your iPhone app has live activities, you can put that to the. They will be presented on the Apple Watch too, and so it seems like Apple still tries to improve engagement for the Apple Watch because, like, as of now, probably most of people are using them for some sport-related activities and notifications, and they're trying to bring a little bit more attention to that. And yeah, interactive widgets are also there, so you probably can have slightly more interaction with your watch after updating to watchOS 11. But
so finally, I can mark my reminders as completed. Just from
yes, yeah, that's one of the cases. Or if you use HomeKit, you probably can open the door or like garage door or whatever again with one less tap on your watch. But or turn on or turn off the lights. That's also an option. Yeah, and yes, we can now put our icons to the control center, which is, well, I don't know.
Why?
I mean, one more place your app can present on the screen of iPhone, and that maybe marks another step in making your UI not just the UI which you like have when your app launches, but you have another option of your app being relevant while not being on screen. So that's maybe a good thing. I mean, I was using one. Let's say it was embedded feature like Shazam icon in Control Center, which like you can start recognizing song without launching an app, and that might be a good thing for some other users. So we'll see.
Will they allow to run something in the background?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. So essentially, it's a widget which can trigger some actions in your app using any possible things, including, for example, app intents or something like that. So there are a couple of things which you can use here. And one more big announcement for all of the platforms is the dedicated passwords app, like
Apple One Password.
Yeah, so
Apple One Password Plus. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I was not using 1Password or like, God forbid, LastPass or something else. And recently they added an ability to share passwords within the family. And that's actually a very good thing because like, if you have some account on any stores with online retail with loyalty programs, you probably want to buy everything with one account to like accumulate more points or whatever. So it's easier to share your credentials across family. And so now we have again couple taps less to get to your passwords. Nice, interesting, but again, nothing exciting so far, right?
Being honest, I used passwords functionality only, a couple of times, and mostly on visionOS, simply because I need to put my very long passwords for my Apple ID to visionOS. Nothing more.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. But let's talk about iPadOS before we will dive into visionOS and everything else. So on iPadOS, I was expecting something to prove that iPad Pro with M4 is worth it. Like essentially something which will show all the possible things which you can do with this M4 chip on the iPad. And there was nothing. I mean, yes, they presented this.
Just say it. Say it. You wanted Xcode there, right?
At least, or at least signs of that of the possibilities, or some interesting things you can run there. I mean, something. But it seems that
it's worth mentioning that there's a separate organization on GitHub now called SwiftLang, and there are VS Code Swift. So maybe this is a sign. It will be VS Code.
Yeah, so I think there might be VS Code on the iPad, but not the Xcode, right? That's a possibility right now. So I really hope to see anything which will make iPad more powerful, and but essentially iPadOS remained the same, except for one feature which, and that's not a calculator, by the way, one feature which triggered my attention. So they can correct your handwriting. So that is something really cool. I mean, it not just corrects your handwriting, but it also can fake it. Like you can type something or like copy paste, and it will insert that with your handwriting style, and that is cool. I mean,
I'm not sure that they can
I
do
will be
this with
using
mine.
that. Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, like my handwriting is terrible, and that it
I need to
always,
ask my doctor to try to write something on my iPad.
Yes, yeah, and like put that check mark to correct that. So that's actually a really cool thing, I think. And now we can probably talk about this calculator. So yes, iPad has a calculator, and yeah. Now, and one more app
Nice.
is less relevant. So pCalc was very popular for the iPad users, but I think not the calculator is.
CalcBot.
Yeah,
which is
yeah, as well. So there were a couple of cool apps there, but what they actually brought there was the math notes, which is essentially an ability to put some expressions and build graphs and recalculate things directly in the notes. That is cool. I mean, as a separate app, that will be really great, and probably you don't need the whole operating system update for that. But I probably think that they might
Apple doesn't
need
know
that for
how
something.
to do this.
Yeah. Again, so far, I don't see anything to.
I would say that maybe I'm missing something, but
Yeah.
they making it more possible for developers to bring their apps to iPad, and they don't need to create everything on their own. Because, like, maybe I'm missing something. I will double check what they introduced for iPadOS as a SDK. Maybe they added something more, but in general, you don't need to create something. Like, they don't need to create it.
Yeah.
It's like a Wild West back in 2008 when they introduced App Store. You can now build everything, really, and with this powerful hardware, there are a lot of possibilities to do something interesting.
Yeah, and by the way, they didn't even show any like new cool stuff you can do with playgrounds. Like I don't know, if you wanted to build something as a developer, like easier publishing to the App Store or something. No, nothing. So the playgrounds are remaining the same. And I think we can skip now to the VisionOS, and that's probably one of the things I wanted to talk about, because first of all, we have projects with VisionOS, which is something we thrilled to have, but also there were a couple of things we wanted to see in VisionOS, and well, the VisionOS 1.0 or like 1.2 doesn't have that, and Apple called those things as enterprise APIs, which essentially makes them impossible to use with the App Store apps. And if you look into that, one of the important APIs for us as developers is access to the camera. So if you are downloading any app from the App Store for VisionOS, you will not be able to have these apps using your camera on your Vision Pro device, but enterprise users will be able to have apps with access to the camera. And that actually opens a lot of possibilities, like computer vision or guided I don't know, like repair guides or some other communications with an ability to see what you see from the camera. So that's actually, from my perspective, very, very important update. And when we were coming to Apple events last year, on like maybe not the last year, but before the release of the Vision Pro, and we were talking about the camera access, they were like always telling like, yeah, well, maybe sometime into the future, but they were not giving any meaningful answer. So now we know it's still not a public thing. You will still need to use enterprise distribution or custom app distribution, which limits that. But so they put that as a privacy thing, and
This is
we
wonderful.
already
Because we know
so
a couple of
it's a good
companies that
thing.
would like to have this access.
Yeah. But some other aspects of that which are related is the ability to configure things which device runs. So you can prioritize some device capabilities in object tracking. You can access neural engine on M2 chip, and that's also not possible for App Store apps. So essentially what they did, they gave enterprise users slightly more capabilities you can deal with. You will still need to ask for the entitlement and some license in this way, I mean, which is something new, but okay, that's all possible. And with that, we will be probably able to have more apps with which will give us an opportunity to use computer vision on Vision Pro, and maybe like next year or like maybe year after that, they will open this to the general audience. Maybe. I mean, I'm thinking this is the gradual process. So initially they said, no, we will never give you access to the camera. Now they're like, well, yeah, if you're enterprise, we will give you access to the camera. And so I think it's they will eventually allow access to the camera with some guardrails or restrictions. So as of now,
I don't know. Do you have any ideas what non-enterprise application need access to your video stream?
I think mostly for computer vision and maybe better scene understanding or better integration into that or something like that. So I'm not sure we need exactly that, but some cases might be relevant. I don't know. But again,
because I thought a lot about that since I got this wonderful device, and I really cannot. So I understand what I need in general from apps for Vision Pro. So, but talking about camera, I don't know. So this is something because Apple, like Vision Pro, it knows a lot not only about your current like video stream, what you're seeing, but also about the space around you. And this is a little bit not poor, but yeah, this is strange to give access to this information to anyone. And I would like
yeah.
So I prefer them not to give this access, but for enterprise, oh yeah. So talking about one of my ideas for demo that we prepared for one of conferences was to try to scan QR codes on boxes and put information about content of these boxes. So that was not possible, but now I believe this will be available, and this is purely enterprise approach, but like usage of this device. So I will definitely use my iPhone to scan QR codes in normal life, not with Vision Pro, but walking down by big storage and looking for some information. Yeah, that's exactly what I need.
Right. Maybe. So, by the way, the barcode scanning is another enterprise API. So that was and sharing of your entire screen, including content you see, like the virtual content, is another one. So there are a couple of things you can have access to and provide that as a enterprise options. That's all available now. Apple, when you request the entitlement, Apple asks you, now they ask you for the industry your app is working on, but that's only for like development only entitlement. So they said that the production entitlements will be available later. So maybe they will be asking you more questions on that. So kind of be prepared for that.
By the way, so I saw somewhere that they introduced object tracking. So
Yes.
is it also part of Enterprise API?
general object tracking is not. It's available for App Store apps. However, you can fine-tune object tracking parameters, and that's the part of the enterprise APIs. So in general, you can have a 3D model. You can put that into like your app, make a reference asset out of it, and the device will look for that device, and it will be able to track it in the real world. So that's a possibility right now. As like the images, now you can also have the 3D objects, which is actually a cool thing, and that might have some use cases. But we will need to see how it
my
works.
application for this stuff.
Yes, exactly. And that's instead of having some marker images, you can now have just the actual model. One more thing, which is can be useful for developers. So now you will be able to have much bigger screens when you stream your Mac to Vision Pro, and that is now possible for this foveated rendering happening on the Mac itself. So you will be able to stream much bigger screen because some parts of the screen will be rendered not in full resolution on the Mac and then streamed to the Vision Pro, and the Vision Pro will show the rest. So it's an interesting approach, and developers surely will like it, because as of now you're limited to the 4K screen, which is streamed from the Mac, but now you will be able to have something big. And one of the things which they were showing is like curved screen of the Mac, which like, I don't know how many screens you can put there. But the problem is that this curved screen, I think, is still Apple internal. So we were exploring an option to having these curved screens for our own apps, and it seems we cannot have that yet. Like unless we do something on our own with some transforms or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't able to find that yet, at least, and maybe it's buried somewhere in the documentation. But Apple did not highlight that in any case. So all the screens you can create right now, they are flat, and you need to deal with that. You can have some workarounds, but it's still workarounds. But I also wanted to say that the current beta for the Vision OS 2.0 is actually quite stable. So it's it works okay. It doesn't overheat, and like it doesn't burn your eyes or your face with all the stuff. Like, I mean, I still remember. I think it was iOS 7 beta, which for some reason I decided to install. And I was like walking down the street, and I was feeling something really hot in my pocket, and it was my phone, which was for some reason decided to do I don't know what, and it was
for
kind of
everyone, and it drained battery within 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was fun. So nothing like that with the Vision OS beta, and like more or less stable, and our apps are also like more or less working there without anything. So hopefully they will work on that. They also improved something with the persona feature. I don't see much of a difference, but a couple of our engineers said that actually the persona is much better now, like from their perspective. I don't see that, but they said like it looks much more realistic than it was before. And again, if we talk about enterprise, this probably is for all purposes that will be okay for the enterprise world. It might be still like a little bit clunky for the general consumer audience, but for the enterprise, you look fine. I mean, it's you especially if you compare yourself to your Teams image. That's fine. It's better than
Apple. I don't want these beautiful personas. Please allow me to make my face a big bear face or shark or whatever. And
you want this
I want to have
animation,
3D
right?
meeting with my peers in this way. That would be wonderful. I would like this. Similar as an emoji.
Yeah, exactly.
Not an emoji yet.
And by the way, the simulator on Xcode 16 now supports SharePlay for Vision OS. So that's actually kind of important again for one of our projects where we wanted to actually see how this SharePlay experience will work without like having the devices, because and that's another topic. So the devices were available only in the US until now. So like in June they will enter a couple of new markets, including like China, Japan, Hong Kong, and also a couple of European countries like France, UK, Germany, I think, like, and also Canada and Australia. So there will be more countries with Vision Pro right now. Officially, I mean,
it looks like
definitely
someone
will.
found more screens for their headsets.
We'll see. So, and by the way, in the new Vision OS, they added like new gestures, like, which kind of like people say it's coming from Quest, like essentially. So, but I'm not that sure. I'm not that much of a Quest user, so we'll see. But they help you to do a couple of things, like open the home screen or control center using like your rotation of the hand rather than like just looking somewhere on the screen. Yeah. So it's a small nice additions, but again, nothing much changed there. So it's more or less the same operating system. We will explore what you can do with these enterprise APIs, but apart from that, it's more or less the same. There is not much change there. And with this, I think we can enter the like more developer related topics, and I would probably start with Swift. Again, we are like postponing this whole AI stuff to the end of the episode, but let's talk about Swift. So Swift 6 is coming, and it will be opt-in, like the Swift 6 language mode is opt-in rather than opt-out, right? So it should, like, the new Xcode should not break your projects. Even if you start a new project, you can still more or less do everything you did before. But if you want to go to this new world of data race safety, you have to deal with sentables, non-copyable types, and so on and so on. Anything to say? I mean, like, did you explore these new things with sentables, and like how the project works with the language 6 mode?
I haven't tried like full strict Swift 6 mode, but I'm hardly working on. So every time when I see a warning which says that it will be an error in Swift 6, my internal perfectionist says we should fix it, do it, and we go and fix. And it's not so hard, taking into account that my current fun stuff with Swift on server not forces, but motivates me to use more of actors. It works fine. So it's okay for me, simply because, and my favorite reference in this podcast, it was a thing in Rust for a while. So definitely you cannot pass anything to another thread. And I get used to this. And that's more or less natural transition. So as far as I read, you should not expect class to be ascendable, which is good, because
I think that's
classes, they are more about like holding state, reacting on it, instead of being a state itself. So
I think so. Yeah, while you can mark class as sendable, but you will have to implement a lot of guardrails yourself to make it actually sendable.
So this is hard.
But you can use actors.
Yes, but with actors,
if you need the reference semantics.
Yes, but actors, they have another issues. So, for example, you cannot make actor observable. So you need to implement some kind of your own mechanism, similar to previous observable version, something like this. So when something is updated, notified. But in general, you don't need this because, and this is a reference to Rust and Go. None of them have classes. So both of them work with structs, and especially because they want to pass the structs safely between
Yeah.
threads. So yeah, that's a very good step into proper direction, and this will make us more of modern software engineers rather than guys who are still writing on a language of like 2014. Yeah.
And by the way, like the whole concept of object-oriented programming is fading away. Like in favor, like, well, Apple calls that protocol-oriented programming. Some other languages, they have their own approaches to call this approach. But in general, the value types and the like traits or protocols or whatever, like this is something which is like now getting more and more attention. And you can see that in new Apple frameworks, like Swift UI was essentially built on this concept. And you can argue that some of the things which they did were like terrible because of that design, because you didn't have any inheritance, but it was okay. I mean, I think we need to lean into that and like embrace that. And if you're still thinking in classes, like consider thinking in protocols and structs and maybe enums or whatever. So that's one thing.
Yeah. I don't know, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, everyone was mad about Scala. And one of ideas of Scala was that you have immutable objects. You cannot edit them, so to edit them, you need to transfer them somehow. And I'm still very keen to this idea because this is something that we can control. If you want to edit something, modify it, then do something with it. And this is why I'm really so I really like how actors work. You cannot modify their state outside.
Yeah.
You can do this only through special function, some special function. So yeah, it's nice.
Interestingly, in this, I'm looking into Swift. So when Swift was introduced, it was we were looking into this as less verbose compared to Objective-C. So in Objective-C, everything was like long and like there were long names and everything. Now I look into Swift with this new, consuming or borrowing keywords or like discard cell things. It seems like it's more verbose than Rust, because like Rust essentially has almost the same, but in much shorter. On the other hand,
Rust just doesn't use like special words for this.
Yeah.
They simply say ampersand,
exactly.
pointer. That's it. We are low-level programmers. We can do this. Just do this.
That also looks like Perl. Like if you were like of my generation, you might remember that thing, the language which was called like write once, read never, like because you will never be able to read whatever you wrote a couple of weeks ago because of all of that characters you can put there. And with Rust, it's not the same, but it's closer. Like there are a lot of special things, and you're looking into the code and like, what's that? Like, what's these pipes, ampersands, and everything's happening there. But well, you need to get used to that.
No, I don't disagree here. Simply because they use the same idea as we had in C. They have ampersand for passing something by reference, and like a pointer if you want to do reference.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
so
in Swift we also have ampersand for similar purpose, but we don't have pointers. Well, we have pointer classes, but that's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Please, Apple, what you need to do next, please do something with the protocols. They are terrible. Do them more flexible.
Yeah, well, they
know where to look at.
The protocols with generics, that's something like, it's not generics, it's associated types. I know, but yeah, that's terrible. Let me like we started talking about like this Rust and its glory on all these kernel tasks or whatever. Like everything is safe with Rust. So Apple now officially presented embedded Swift on WWDC. So it started earlier, and they had some proposals, and they also had some nice demos. For example, they were using Swift for this Playdate gaming console for some games there, which is low powered essentially device. So it's like a microcontroller which you can build some apps for. And Swift is now officially supported. Well, like I won't say what does it mean officially supported, but they are promoting that as a language which you can use on embedded platforms. And they were showing some demos. They also posted a couple of useful libraries to work with some of the popular devices. So you, for example, like again, you can access registers and you can like turn them on and off, and that's cool. However, well, you can do that in C as well. It's better to have something like, if you have Swift, you can probably have something better to do. And so the Swift, the embedded Swift, which is actually really cool, is like a strict subset of the like general Swift. So it's not a separate dialect. It doesn't have anything. So everything you write in embedded Swift will compile on normal Swift, but it lacks some features like reflection and any types and something like that. So there are some restrictions to make code smaller and compatible. So
simplify runtime.
Yeah.
And I believe so they don't ship Foundation.
Oh yes, they don't. Yeah, no Foundation.
No,
I think
only
the
the
standard library is also like really reduced. I think, I don't know. I need to see, but it all for the purposes of making the binary very small and efficient. It still has memory management, I think. So that's actually an important thing, because maybe they will also have a version without memory management. So I saw some discussions on Evolution forums that there will be like something which will prevent from like you will only have stack, for example, and that's it. So you will lack reference types or something like that. But I think it's not the case yet. And there was another session on server-side Swift, which didn't have much of the information, to be honest. So it was like, okay, you can do that. And on one of the sessions with Xcode Cloud, they were saying like, yeah, we will be writing some server-side hooks for the Xcode Cloud in Swift, and here's how we do that. So we have an open API, we will have this, we will have that. And like now you see that Apple, so let me step back. A couple of years ago, a lot of people compared Kotlin and Swift, and the comparison was like, look, Kotlin can run here, Kotlin can run there, and Swift is like essentially niche language which runs only on like Apple platforms and everything like that. And now you see that Swift is getting to other platforms, but not in a way of running that on Android, like I don't know, Kotlin is trying to do with their multi-platform thing. But they are trying to capture
more. Android is alive. So
well,
not officially, but yeah, it's alive.
But I think it's like, if you compare Kotlin multi-platform and Swift for Android, like we know the winner for now. So again, I'm not saying it's forever, but the idea of like Swift getting into embedded, Swift getting into server side. And also Swift now runs on Windows, like Arc browser using Swift to build Windows UI apps, which is cool. And they also shared their bindings with the for Windows, so you can. It's not like running Swift UI on Windows, but it's still using Swift. And they were promoting use of Swift, and we will talk that in a sec, where now Swift is also like server-side Swift is also used, but it's another topic. Before that, I wanted to talk about one more thing. So Apple was showing the Swift testing framework again before on Swift forums and Swift blog, but now they are essentially, I think, promoting it as a replacement for XC test except for the performance testing and the UI testing. So they said that this is not yet possible with the Swift testing framework. But
this is
what
unit
I'm
testing
going
framework. It's nothing more, so that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Should be keep it simple, stupid. So
yeah, but now we will have to test. Yeah, if you have to do performance testing, like then you will need to do that through exit test, and
How
if you need
often
to
we
do
do
that
this?
through like just general UI testing, unit testing, then or integration testing, you will do through the Swift testing framework. But what I'm coming to is macros. Again, we see use of macros a lot now, and what I'm hoping for, I'm not yet sure, like maybe somebody in Swift team will deal with the performance of macros, because more macros you use, more complicated macros you have. I see a lot of people being angry of the compilation times with macros, and I think the observable macro is pretty fine, but there were a couple of things which were not that great in terms of being able to quickly compile.
It depends on how much code you generate within this macros.
Yeah,
so
yeah, but
it
now we have
definitely
tests with macros. Now we have something else with macros and so on.
I agree, but still, since it's just a pure, so macros is a pure Swift
Yeah.
code. It also compiles. It has some artifacts that can be reused. So this is what Apple should focus on. Okay, not Apple, Swift-Lang team. Let's call
Right.
it that way. So on compilation performance.
Yes.
I shared
Yes.
with you a couple of links on how Rust team now focuses on performance, because even though that it's still much faster than compile something in Swift,
Yeah.
they still, like, it's not very fast. And the same, so when we talk about Swift per server, we have to build Swift Neo, which
Yeah.
requires using OpenSSL compile or Boring SSL.
Yes.
Well, I don't remember what they're using, but still, it's a C code. They compile it, so they should think more about parallelism and performance of the compiler. Even though
And
that's written in C++, it's still too slow. So what's wrong?
Speaking of the parallelism, so they added new feature which should probably target that in the big complicated projects, which is explicitly built modules, which is not enabled by default, but you can opt in here too. And what it does, every module which you have is now explicitly marked for the build process. And so like if you do not have like explicitly defined models, and you have like some implicitly importing something, and like you have a lot of connections between models, so the build process is less parallel, so it goes like one straight line. And now it analyzes that and tries to build a lot of stuff in parallel, which seems to be interesting. I did not test like how it actually affects the performance of the actual projects, but it's probably one of the ways which you can speed up your build process on complicated projects which uses a lot of models, and that looks interesting. And it also might help you with the CI/CD tools, which how would I put it? So they measure your running time and bill you for the time. And I'm looking at Xcode Cloud right now, which we actually, by the way, started to adopt more and more. And we probably need to optimize our builds in order to have them being faster. And if we run tests, maybe we need to consider using Swift testing now, because it's also seems to be more parallel. I mean, at least from what Apple says in their keynote.
As far as I understand, Xcode 15 doesn't have support of Xcode Swift testing yet, so that's what prevents us from.
Yeah, we will wait until the release, right? But we'll see. Or maybe they will put the Xcode 16 beta and we can run tests with Xcode 16, but it's again something we will not be doing now. So we'll see. But again, this is something which we need to
just give us more free time on
Yeah.
Xcode Cloud, and this will resolve all the issues. They don't need to code anything, just give us more
just
free
pay
hours.
money. Just pay money. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's a normal server stuff. You just fill it with hardware. Do it, Apple.
Exactly. Okay, enough of Swift for now. And by the way, from what I was I was watching the Swift sessions, and there are a couple of there. It seems that Swift 6 mode is not that problematic actually. So it's like if you were adopting Swift concurrency like more or less in a steady way, and you are like more or less trying to design your models properly, then switching to this strict mode will definitely give you a lot of errors and warnings, but it's not that you will have to rewrite everything. It probably will be okay. So like take a look, maybe like it's a general recommendation for that, and we'll see. Now, as with the keynote, when everybody was like looking to Apple, like what are you talking about? We wait for you to say AI word a lot of times, and they were,
and they don't.
Yeah, they finally got to it, and now in a very clever way. So they are branding that as Apple Intelligence, which is, from my perspective, really cool. So they will be trying to capture every talks on AI, and like, yeah, that's probably Apple Intelligence. Yeah, that's a cool thing to do. I mean, good job, some people in marketing team. You probably deserve like huge bonus for this.
Yeah, thanks. It's not it's intelligence, not some other word that's similar to spatial computing. So
yeah, and it's actually like when we look into that, I was trying to like understand what's the whole thing here, and how they will be working, especially like if this there were rumors about OpenAI contract they had, and like do they just use like this ChatGPT for everything, or how it will work? And no, it's not. I mean, they had their own models, and interestingly, there will be like 3 tiers of using AI features. The first tier will be on device, including image generation on device. So like some diffusion models will be there for this Genmoji, for some other image creation. And like on the day of the keynote, there were a lot of people mocking Apple for these like stupid styles which they provide. It's like 3 styles, and those are all like outdated. But what I think is like nobody prevents Apple from adding more styles later. That's one thing. And another thing is they needed to have safe version of the model, which will be more polished and will provide more images which will not result in something Apple being sued for because of something which this model did create.
Yeah.
So that's
let's say not all devices can have this mode.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about what devices will be able to use that when it's released. So first of all, it's iPhone Pro models. Well, A17 Pro chip based essentially, and probably iPhone 16. All of those will be supported. All iPads with like Apple Silicon chips. So M1 chip and further, and all Macs with Apple Silicon chips will be able to use this. But that's not the end of the restrictions. Then another restriction is to use device and Siri language being set to English US. So that's the current state of limitations. And moreover, when it will be in beta during the summer, there will be, it seems there will be some wait list. And another thing, it might be like Apple's, some researchers found a string saying that the performance of some features will be degraded if you are outside of the US. I assume that is related to the features which will require some server stuff. And let's talk about the server stuff now. I mean, we will get into some features yet, but so the first level of your use of the models is on device. That works with text, with some classification, some summarization and everything, images, but some things which you can ask, we might require like bigger models which cannot fit onto your device now. And Apple created private cloud compute concept, which is like pretty normal for everybody. But what they said, and that again, Apple is trying to differentiate themselves from other AI companies now. And when you do not have state-of-the-art model or like something which is, I know, better than everybody on the market, you need to find something which is actually better. And they decided to go with privacy, which arguable, but from my perspective, that's actually interesting. So their server farm running their own models, it's not OpenAI or some other third-party models, will be running on Apple Silicon hardware. So again, they are saying that their chips are safe and they will be like guaranteed to have, and they actually provided a security article on how these guarantees are enforced by Apple Silicon and their platform. So these servers will have their models. They will not store any data being sent. So like nothing, no logs, no training, no cooperation with other devices, nothing. And these servers will not have any shells. So you will not be able to connect to that server from outside or even with the physical access. And they were building the threat model to include physical access to the server farm. And the last thing is that the images running on those servers will be accessible for the security researchers to verify Apple's claims, essentially, which is also really cool compared to, I don't know, Google or OpenAI or Microsoft, whatever. So, and they also said that they have an infrastructure for the clients to verify that the images your client communicates to is the same as the researchers were able to check during their review of those images. So it's not that they will just give researchers one thing, but they will be running something else. So that is a cool thing to do. So what they were trying to say, and this is this is actually important thing. So they're not saying that explicitly, but they are implying that, well, guys, we provide private and secure things to do with your data, because like you will be sending some of the data from your device in order to process that on the cloud, but we will not see what you're saying, we will not store it, we will not use it for anything. Like it's just safe, and moreover there will be third-party researchers who will confirm that. So they are not like, it's not just trust our words, it's rather like trust our words and their words too. So this is, from my perspective, that's important for those who are concerned about privacy. It's not that everybody is that focused on that. So there are a lot of people saying like, who cares? Like, why do we need to care about that? But it's a thing which we see now. So privacy put into their farm is like, and again, they had a couple of sessions describing this architecture, and they published a couple of articles on how it works. So if you're interested, you can go to the security page of the I think it's securityapple.com, and they have like the blog there and there's an article describing the approach. And like these are two levels, and now we're coming to most controversial, I would say. So if their models are not able to deal with your request, it might ask ChatGPT. Oh yeah, finally we're getting to this OpenAI stuff. And every time you will be every time you would want to do something which requires ChatGPT, you need to explicitly authorize this request, and so Siri will tell you like, I can ask ChatGPT with this, and you need to say like, yes, do that, and then it will send some information to the ChatGPT. And there was a press release with the ChatGPT or the OpenAI and Apple, and they were saying that the IP addresses will be hidden from OpenAI. They will not be able to get the IP address from the those who are asking, and the data will not be stored or not be used for the trainings. So, but again, this is not that verifiable. So this is just like something ChatGPT or OpenAI said they will not be doing. So Apple's claims are easier to verify, but OpenAI is a little bit harder. But apart from that, so these are 3 tiers of using, and it was interesting to see how investors were looking into that. So when the keynote started, Apple shares dropped a little bit, like not too much, but like probably everybody expected more. But then the day passed, and maybe people like sat down and like, well, we need to see what they actually were showing us. And the next day they skyrocketed essentially. Like Apple is now again most valuable company in the world. So I think the most people decided that their approach is weighted, and it's a nicely balanced approach to implementing the AI features in the platform. So we'll see how it works. Current beta of iOS doesn't have any Apple Intelligence yet, and even if it does, I'm not yet sure I want to install it on my devices. So I'm okay with installing visionOS beta, but I'm not okay with installing anything else right now. I might need some.
We are too old for that shit. So
yes,
that's okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of stuff in the cloud which I don't want to lose. Okay, that's the consumer features, and since we are closing to 1 hour mark, let's maybe talk quickly about the developer features, and maybe we will wrap things up. And yeah, by the way, before that, so we were talking Macs, iPads, iPhones. visionOS and Vision Pro will not get any Apple Intelligence features, seemingly. And also Apple TV.
Simply because its battery is too small.
Yeah, but you usually see it connected. So okay, I'm still not sure. I mean, Apple TV doesn't have battery, but it also doesn't have much of the chip there. So Apple TV also lacks any features. But maybe for the consumers, like text summarization or image generation, do you really need that on the TV? But I would like to have better Siri there. I hope that maybe the conversations with Siri will be better, but not sure. And nothing was told about HomePods. Will they get the new Siri experience or not? Hopefully, yes, but we'll see. And
that would be wonderful.
So, but by the way, let's maybe again before the developer tools, let me quickly. So I was interested to see how you will be supporting these new things. Essentially, you just need to support whatever Siri integrations you had previously. App Intents, SiriKit, and everything should, and yeah, support more typical other features like Core Spotlight if you want to share your content to the system and everything like that. So there is no new frameworks you need to adopt to integrate with the new experience. Everything should work straight away, except for Image Playground, which is another SwiftUI modifier to show this picker for the images which you can create. But come on, that's a simple thing. So App Intents, SiriKit, Core Spotlight, maybe user activities which you need to highlight, and that's it. Everything will be captured by the Siri, and with this new stuff. That's actually a cool thing. Maybe it's time to have more App Intents for that. And on one of the sessions, they essentially told that, well, now we live in a world where every action of your app needs an app intent. So it will be accessible through Siri, through Control Center, through whatever you want. And also, they said that Siri will be able to launch any feature of your app which has a menu item assigned to it. Like if you have an iPad, you can assign menu items to your screens or actions or whatever. And if you do that, the Siri will learn that, and it will able to launch something in your app knowing about these menu items. So adopt that particular feature too if you are doing iPad apps. Finally, developer features.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck, us.
So autocomplete. Well, again, we'll be working on the Macs with the Mac OS Sequoia and Apple Silicon. That's the restrictions. And the second thing, Swift Assist, same restrictions, which is like tool to help you with some code creation. Interestingly, the thing is, these both running on device do not require any internet connection and do not share any information with outside. So it's much safer to use in your projects. And Apple said that these are custom models which are trained on Swift and Apple APIs and everything. So this is something I would like to try, but I might probably need a Mac with macOS Sequoia, and that's a little bit more complicated to have in the current beta cycle. So
can't you use a virtual machine?
You actually can, and I think the Sequoia virtual machines will be even able to connect to their Apple account. So yeah, by the way, Apple ID is now Apple account. You need to adopt new naming for that. Doesn't change much, but now it's an account, and probably Apple will be trying to like replace the sign in with Apple with some like sign in with Apple account somewhere. I don't know, but we'll see. I think they stopped the efforts to promote that, so they are not requiring you to use that feature if you have third-party sign-ons on your app, and they are not promoting this feature. They were promoting passkeys in these WWDC sessions, but not saying anything about the sign-in with Apple. So we can't say much about this autocomplete and Swift Assist yet, but probably I will try to find a way to run something on.
You just. I feel that I have to do this right now. So
yeah,
while you're talking, I'm going to download IPSV for my UTM.
Yeah. That's something. It's interesting to see how it actually works, because if it knows Apple APIs, if it knows, maybe it will be able to help you with some stuff with Reality Kit, for example, which has much more of the complicated topics. But one thing Apple said,
it's not a Swift APIs.
Yeah.
It's just a Reality Kit APIs. It's
well, they said that they were training different on that too, so they should know Apple's frameworks. The thing is, it's Swift Assist. If you are into, decided like, okay, now I will be able to create my metal shaders. They did not mention metal shading language there, so you will still need to learn all that C stuff. And
what about Objective-C?
Yes, and that's also probably not be supported. I mean, that's...
Come on, Apple.
Well, just deprecate the language. Yes, I mean Apple uses Objective-C a lot, I suppose, in all of their
C a lot, so yes. That's okay. I still love looking to core foundation sources.
Let me ask you, since we're talked about all of the nonsense and nobody asked us any questions, let me ask you one question. By the way, I look into my show notes and I see privacy things, translation API, tabletop kit, Swift data updates, transition animations in Swift. A lot of stuff actually were added, or this use of your iPhone on the Mac with this continuity, and that's it. So that was also announced. So there are a couple of other things. So what's your impression of this WWDC? What's how do you feel about these announcements?
The good thing that Apple second year in a row doing something for developers. So we are not third-party citizens anymore. We are part of ecosystem, and this is important. Starting from Xcode Cloud, new frameworks for for pure Swift without Apple ecosystem, etc. So this is wonderful. Some engineering managers, engineering directors there, they changed, it looks like. In terms of user features, really, I don't care. So I love what I have right now with iOS 17, both on my iPad, my iPhone. So even though that I have pretty old devices, they still work fast, and this is like good, and that's exactly what I need. So, but as a, I don't know, some kind of team leader, manager for my team, the most important thing for me is to make sure that team is performant now with like our native tools that we use. Because previously, every time when we talk about Xcode, people just start shouting, rolling around, and crying simply because, being honest, still Xcode is not a wonderful piece of software.
Oh yeah.
It still needs a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of polishing, but it becomes much better. So, and this is good. I'm really happy that Apple puts a lot of effort into making Swift UI more customizable, because remembering even Swift UI 4, so which was the first normal release of Swift UI, it still was very, very, I don't know. So you cannot use it normally to develop something outside of Apple standard guidelines. But now you can do a lot of interesting stuff, modify a lot of cool things. So I definitely should check how Markdown rendering works now. Maybe they did something for this. Otherwise, I will have to write my own again. But in general, they're moving into a good direction. And this is a last year news, but still, I'm very fascinated on how macroses work. So macroses, this is what I really love in Rust, and this is very powerful feature of the language, of the ecosystem around language. And since I had to write a couple of macroses by myself recently, they are okay. Similar to plugins, to build tool plugins, to common plugins. So fine. Again, this is the same thought that I told at the beginning. Apple now thinks about developers more than about users, because they found that maybe they understood that we are giving them money. So it's a good moment to think about us as well. So now I feel like I still want to be an Apple developer, not iOS developer, but in general for all their platforms. Even then, now I can easily write simple and not very simple applications for macOS. So it's more generic now. It's good to be an iOS engineer at this moment. So yeah, thank you Apple for that. By the way, so one thing that I noticed in sessions, Apple did something for, as far as I understand, it's some additions for WebKit for Vision OS. So WebXR, it's called. And I would really love to see what web developers are going to do with that, because now having these just flat websites, it's okay. But if Apple start with themselves and update apple.com with this, that should be interesting.
Yeah, that's. By the way, they did not have any spatial experiences in developer app for the keynote and everything. So if you were watching that with Vision Pro, you will still watch the same things essentially. So hopefully we will see something maybe next year. At least you need to justify those like that investment in Vision Pro a little bit for the developers. Like they need to have at least something.
We need to give them some time because it's only this year developer app on macOS. Okay, stable enough. So let's give them some time.
It's a
time to fix
small
bugs.
company. They do not have enough engineers to do that exactly. Yeah, so I would actually agree with you.
Agencies that can help them, at least one.
Right. I would agree with you on this, and probably with all that focus on the developers, it's nice to see. And then maybe I even like the idea that we do not have much of the new stuff for the users, like this all AI stuff. Okay, that's you have to do that as a company because otherwise everybody will see you as a failed company. So you had to do that. I understand. And everything else hopefully will be like more or less stable, and Apple will focus more time on stabilizing things and make the platforms a little bit more consistent and more stable in most cases. That will be perfect. I mean, I would be just rooting for that. So
we just need some time to adopt everything that they introduced in last 5 years. So
exactly.
We need to rest. Yeah.
Then you can come up with something else. I don't know, robots, whatever you like thinking about now. Like let give us at least 1 year to just like accommodate us on the current.
Maybe
things.
They will introduce a neural pointer. Why not?
Oh yeah. Well, let's not get into that. Otherwise, there will be a lot of stuff happening with them. I think that's the perfect time to end this episode and promise that we will get back again in the summer. I mean, I'm not sure when, and we will find some topics to discuss. And by the way, we still might need to talk about this Europe Union regulations, at least maybe as a part of the episode, not the full episode, because it's. I think the whole thing is like it was so much drama about it and not so much drama now. I mean, like I think it's like resulted in like nobody cares. Well, I mean, let's put that until the next episode, and we will find some.
As a resident of European Union, I don't feel something changed, so that's all okay. Spoiler.
That's exactly what we will discuss next time. Thank you very much for listening to us for this more than an hour. I'm watching whatever. So if you are still here, find the way of making the rating or write a review, whatever you want, or leave a comment under the video, whatever you want to do. Give us a small shout out, or we will have some understanding how we do. And we will see you.
By the way, quick question. Why your Apple Vision Pro is without cover? It's not safe.
Yeah, it's just for the demo purposes. Like that's the gray background I have now here. Like I'm switching a little bit.
To clean it.
Oh yeah. I have a cloth which comes with the Vision Pro. Yes, I think it costs like $100 at least. And it's very special cloth.
So,
yes.
Yeah, personally by Tim Cook. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up then.
Thank you, and see you soon. We will not be announcing dates until we know that date, but we will hope to get back soon.
Yeah, it depends on how interesting is Swift on server for me. So.
That is true. Yeah. Bye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.